I'm riding the Pimavelobike in the rain. Unfortunately, a lot of water gets inside. What's especially annoying is that the windshield doesn't really protect against splashes. On top of that, it's mounted in a really poor way. Water collects in the gap and leaks straight into the cabin. It drips right onto my jeans. Not fun at all. This video was filmed in 2022 during the first 2 months of our stay in Ireland, and only now have I finally gotten around to recording the English voiceover. I'll be talking about this Velomobile, the Pimavelobike, and also a bit about the fact that we're currently living in Ireland. It's a rather mixed country, but overall, I think it's a good place. You can see a tower on the horizon over there. I'll ride up to it later for a short test drive. This is my temporary workshop. I got the space here thanks to Dwayne Phillips, who I found on Facebook while searching for velomobiles in Ireland. He had tried to start a velomobile business here, but unfortunately it didn't work out. He gave up on the idea, which I think was a bit premature. Here's the road, and his house is just over there. The road I'm standing on, this isn't a bike path, it's an actual car road. And the speed limit here is 80 kilometers per hour, which is kind of crazy. I mean, 80 here? Still, that's the limit. That bridge over there, that's the highway. It would actually be great to ride on it by bike. It looks pretty flat. But cycling on highways is not allowed here. These hedges were trimmed recently. They used to be so tall they blocked the view completely. There's a special tractor that goes around and cuts them back. Right now, my wife Olia and I live here. So why do I need a velomobile? Not just because I love velomobiles, but also because public transportation here is pretty bad. There are some buses, but they only go between towns. But in this country, homes aren't just in villages or towns. They're spread more or less evenly across all of Central Ireland. So there's no way to design a bus route that passes close to everyone's home. Out here, nothing runs at all. The nearest stop is 2 kilometers away. Let's say I found a job nearby. Someone helped me get one, actually. And it's 18 kilometers away from home. There are no buses going that direction at all. Same with Olia. She also works. I keep looking around while I'm talking because I'm standing on the road. Anyway, Olia also has a job 14 kilometers away, but in the opposite direction. So our routes don't overlap at all. And again, there's no public transportation going that way either. Here, everyone has a car. In the countryside and in the cities, everybody drives. Bicycles are used too, but only a little. Today, for the first time, I saw a cyclist on my way home from work who looked like he was actually riding for transport. All the other cyclists I've seen so far were just athletes or hobby riders, and not many of them either. If you see even one cyclist in a whole day, you're lucky. I mean, that's 18 kilometers each way, so 36 total. And in all that distance, maybe you'll spot a single cyclist. Some cities in Ireland, like Dublin, have great cycling infrastructure. But in the countryside, it's mostly just scattered bike paths, which are really only good for leisure rides. They don't actually go anywhere. So it's kind of a paradox. There's a huge network of paved roads, but it's uncomfortable to ride a bike on them because they're super narrow and full of cars. Anyway, that was a bit of an introduction to Ireland. Now let's talk about the Velomobile. Pimavelobike. The website is Cabbike.pl. I checked it recently to look at prices. This is the cheapest velomobile on the market, so at first I was pretty disappointed with its specs. But after running some tests, I realized it's actually not that bad. Yes, it's very heavy, I'd say around 50 kilograms. You need a lot of power to get it moving. But once it's rolling, especially downhill, it rides smoothly. It's got decent aerodynamics, not compared to other velomobiles, but compared to a regular bike, it's good. And the price? Around without a motor. I'll put the current prices up on the screen, because I honestly don't remember them. Right next to our house, these huge farming machines come racing by. Anyway, back to the topic. The price of another velomobile like the Wobble, for example, is around 10,000 euros, or about 8,000 euros in the most basic version. So when we're talking about 2,500 euro for this one, well, what did you expect? For that price, it performs really well. Though in this case, Duane got it for 5,000 euro because it came with an electric kit. I can't say it's a great velomobile in every respect, but it works well as daily transport. For example, commuting to work and back without a motor, I could do it, but it would be hard. I think the commute would take at least an hour, maybe more. But with this 350-watt Bafang motor, the trip takes around 40 minutes. I'll add links to my Strava logs. Everything is recorded there. I also track the energy consumption so you can see exactly how much power it needs. And it's doing its job perfectly, getting me to and from work, running errands, going to the store, or even the laundromat, which is about 10 kilometers from here, maybe 15. No problem at all. Basically, it replaces a car, so let's start the walk around of the Velomobile. As I mentioned, it's used for daily commuting, so it's full of stuff. There isn't that much trunk space, mostly because of this thing. This part takes up a lot of room. There are a lot of car-like features that I think are completely unnecessary on a Velomobile. Like these things right here, they just take up space. I think they were meant to be armrests, but they don't actually work, so they're just wasting space inside. Same with these panels. The storage compartment ends right here, and everything beyond that is just wasted volume. The water bottle goes here, and it's really hard to reach it while riding. It's possible, but you have to twist around and take your eyes off the road, which is dangerous. The headrest is uncomfortable. I tried to fix it. I had something mounted like this, which made it a little better. All right, let's keep going. If I close the canopy, this is how it looks. Oops. Almost broke the thing. The wheel wells are really wide and deep, but the space is underutilized. If I turn the steering all the way, you'll see the wheel doesn't even come close to the edge of the well. On other Velomobiles, you often see scuff marks right there on the plastic. Same thing on the other side. Turn the steering all the way. And again, a lot of wasted space. There were also issues with the bolts. This one loosened and the wheel lost connection completely. The nut actually fell off. Looks like this one is loose again. Oh crap. Wait. No, it's fine. It's just a bolt. Just plastic. No, it's fine. The nut is still there, at least for now. Honestly, it should probably be flipped over to check, but that won't help much if it comes loose. It'll fall apart anyway. The bolt was too short, and the blue locking part, the plastic that's supposed to prevent it from loosening, wasn't even engaged. It was right on this bolt. I later shortened it, there are spacers there, and I cut them down so the bolt could reach. The suspension is something between a MacPherson and a double wishbone. Technically, it's a single wishbone setup. Honestly, I don't really feel it working. It rides quite roughly, but it rides well. There's no sign of the tires scrubbing or slipping off the rims, so the toe alignment is set up well. These issues with bolts coming loose, yeah, that's a problem, but well, it's more of an assembly error than a design flaw. The fact that the wheels are spaced very wide, that is a design flaw, or rather a design choice. I don't really know why it was done that way. Maybe to make space for this linkage here. Still, it works. The tires are Schwalbe Marathon Plus. They get poor test results, but I realize they're actually well suited here, because you often have to ride on the shoulder. This is the kind of road surface you get here, and this is considered good asphalt. You often come across really rough pavement, and you frequently have to yield to cars. The road is narrow, you're riding, a car is coming towards you, and you have to move off onto the shoulder. Here it's not too bad, so you really need puncture-resistant tires. Upgrades I've already made. I added these bits. I extended the bolt, because when you open the lid, it presses hard against it. It already started going crack, crack, breaking here. I put a washer here because it was starting to crack the body. This part I also made myself. It's absolutely essential when it rains. I'm not going to move it now, it'll scratch the windshield without water. But it moves like this. You pull on the second string to drag it back this way. It's a temporary solution. I rode in the rain once. It works. The mirrors. These mirrors used to be here. These holes were where they were mounted on long stalks. They're not convex, not panoramic, so when they were up here, you couldn't see anything in them. Now that they're mounted here, they still wobble a bit, but at least you can see something. Well, not just something. Visibility is actually pretty good now. This little hatch is for looking up at traffic lights when you're stopped underneath one. It's a clever idea, actually. This here is the result of a bike falling from above. It was hanging above and fell down. This wasn't from an impact while riding. The headlights are very good. Really, the whole headlight setup is a great solution. I'm taking note of that for myself. All right, let's take a look inside. It opens like this. It's steered by two levers. Here, let me show you. The turning radius is quite small, which is great for city riding and also for tight roads when you need to turn around. There's a motor here. This version specifically came with a motor, a hybrid. That's why it says hybrid here. Well, it used to say hybrid. The body isn't a monocoque, it's not a single shell, so the structural rigidity is, let's just say it's straight, not great. Here, you can see right away another little mod I made. I also replaced these, by the way, because the original ones were too short. I didn't leave those marks. There were supposed to be little parts like these here, but again, we work with what we've got. The front hinge is really flimsy. I mean, when I lift it up, the idea of a body half that opens is not bad in itself. But the execution with just a single kitchen-style hinge and these whoa Nelly clunky things that flop around, well, it's not great. Just look how wobbly the whole thing is. I've placed it next to the wall just so I can lean it on something. It could still crash down at any moment. Oh, and here, this speaker just fell off. Huh, that happened today. This speaker here. Can't even reach it from here. These are supposed to be cargo compartments, but since the lid is so inconvenient to open, we basically don't use them at all. This is connected to the watt meter. The watt meter is located right here to measure power output. I installed it like this. This is how the drivetrain is set up. There's an intermediate gear, and judging by the layout, it wasn't always part of the design, because here you can see holes for the lower and upper chain paths. So the chain used to go like this. There was an idler pulley in between. Not sure why they ditched that. Maybe it's to keep the chain from touching or dirtying your clothes. Overall, I've noticed a lot of quirky design choices, like they were going for a car look. One thing that actually works well is this fuzzy surface. It really gives it a car-like finished feel. On most Velomobiles, you just see carbon or fiberglass weave, but here you don't see any fibers, and there's this soft lining on the inside too. You can still see some fiberglass over here though. Now the motor, it's probably 350 watts, though I don't see any markings. But I know it's 36 volts, and judging by the 10A max current, that's about 360 watts. Now, there's a problem with the motor. Not sure if I can show it with the camera, but I'll try. It's not mounted securely, it wobbles, and that's just... Yeah, and this part, the width, is really excessive. The footwells are so wide that my legs hit the sides. You can actually see the scuff marks here. The space isn't used efficiently at all. If you look here, just see how wide the wheel well is. The wheel comes up to here, so all this extra space could have been put to use. This section too, totally unused, even though the strut is right here, not way over there. This could have been much better optimized. Either give more interior room or make the track narrower. I would have made the track narrower. Anyway, let's close this up. Tractors are going by. To close it, you need to align these parts into their sockets. Kind of a debatable solution. Honestly, I only ever open the top just to show people what's inside. Sometimes folks are curious. Someone will ask what it is or how it's made, and I go, bam, lift the lid. People go, whoa, cool, makes sense. So the rear part, the rear opens the same way. A little less flimsy. These cords sometimes get tangled. The trunk is actually pretty big, a decent-sized trunk. There used to be a separate battery back here for the lights and turn signals, but it was completely dead. To be honest, the main battery was also dead. The main one says it's 16 hours, but really it's only 4. Same with the small one. It lasted for maybe half an hour. Half an hour of riding with the lights on. I installed, well, this floor panel isn't really necessary. You can see where the wheel well ends, and this space could have been usable. But it's covered because underneath is the relay for the blinkers, the turn signals. On this side, there was an empty spot, so I installed a 36 to 12 volt converter there. to power the whole system from a single main battery. Since I've got a watt meter, I know exactly how many watt hours I've used. Today, I went back and forth to the shops a few times and spent 2.2, so a bit more than half of the battery's capacity. The seat is mounted in a very interesting way. I'm not even sure if interesting is the right word. Maybe questionable is better. It's not fixed at the bottom at all. Like if I pull it like this, you see it's just held in place with Velcro. And it's pretty inconvenient because if you want to remove the seat, say to keep the cushion dry, since when the roof is closed, water still gets in right here. If there's a light sideways rain, it ends up here. The seat gets wet, so if you leave the Velomobile outside and it rains, yeah, the seat's going to get wet. Of course, I could close the cabin, and I will, but a simpler solution would have been to just take off the cushion and stash it up front. But you can't remove it. To take it off, you have to disassemble the seat. Remove it completely, which messes up the adjustment. I'm not doing that. Now here's the shock absorber. That thing was a real problem. The previous shock, it just fell apart. Oh, and for some reason, there were seat belts installed here. One of them I removed. The other one's just dangling. I screwed it in over there. There's all kinds of junk lying around. The belt's just there so it doesn't get in the way, but really seatbelts make no sense here. Just another car-inspired idea that doesn't belong. And the shock absorber wasn't protected from dust or dirt at all. It literally just fell apart, snapped into two pieces. Let me show you the setup inside. Hope you can see it. So yeah, the shock is completely exposed to dirt coming off the wheel. And on top of that, it was over-tightened at the mounting point, which is what caused it to break. All the wheels are 20-inch, by the way. So I guess that's it for the walk-around. Now let's go for a ride. Okay, closing up. Unfortunately, I don't know which way Dwayne went on his WA Velomobile. He usually rides after work. I missed him today. So I'll head to the tower first and then maybe the other way. Since this is Ireland, traffic is on the left. Got to keep that in mind. Just reminding myself. All right, climbing into the Velomobile. The shell is actually pretty solid. According to the website, it weighs 18 kilograms. That's quite a lot for just the shell. Okay, this switch turns on the system. These two indicators here, the first one is for the lights, the second one is for the whole system power. The headlights are visible from the front. I usually set them to blink. The blinking mode really helps with visibility. There are also brake lights. You can't see them now, but when I hit the brake, they light up. There's also a neat parking brake. Works like this. Oh yeah, that's actually a really clever solution. You just press it a bit, and it releases. Works great. The voltmeter? Totally useless. This button turns on the LED strips, also useless. Oh, someone's riding by. The wattmeter shows the current voltage. This is for the lights. These are the turn signals. Up is left. Down is right. And there's a horn and a light switch. You can also toggle between bright and dim headlight modes. The Bafang motor turns on here. It's super bright, can't see a thing. Oh, cyclists.
Hello.
Got lucky today. I've already seen 2 cyclists. Time to try riding. Just don't forget to clip the speaker back on. Alright, here's the watt meter. At startup, it shows a high value, so let's go. The gear shifter is right here. The speed shows in miles because there's a 25 kilometers per hour speed limit here. The motor is supposed to cut off at that point, but the Pima is so heavy that without the motor, the top speed would only be 25 kilometers per hour anyway. Unless you're going downhill, then it goes 40 easily. It rolls great downhill. So to get around that speed limit, the display shows miles instead. The motor won't cut off until 25 miles per hour. Technically, there's no such thing as a village here. The whole area is residential, so the speed limits are the same everywhere. Oh, dogs jumping out. Basically, the entire country is one big residential zone. Let's turn here. Check out this little path. And there's the tower. It's an old historical landmark. Looks pretty cool. Must be nice to live right next to a landmark. Lots of crows around, though. They even have a sign about it. I'm not going to ride too far right now. Just want to show how it all works. Here's reverse gear. I'm now blocking the road. Looks like nobody's around. I'll head toward the main road. Not the highway, though. Okay, right turn. The blinker should be flashing now. Not sure if it's visible. That little house over there, that's Dwayne's place. Tiny front yard. A lot of people here live with super small yards. Here the speed limit is 80. The battery indicator is surprisingly accurate. It really shows about half the charge used up. Now there's a long uphill, but after that comes a steep downhill.
Тогда потом будет крутой спуск. Вот как ведут себя водители. Они тормозят.
Drivers here are so considerate. They slow down or even stop completely to let me pass. That kind of respect is really nice.
Конечно, очень приятно. Такое уважение. И вот домики так
And
стоят
here are
прямо
more
друг
houses
от друга.
right along the road.
Остатки домиков.
Some old ruins too. Riding with a motor is great. If you're tired, you can keep going without stressing your legs too much and still ride fast. Actually, I'd even say for anyone riding daily through hilly terrain, yeah, it's doable without a motor, but honestly, not that fun. So yeah, I have to admit, a motor is kind of a must for everyday commuting. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. All right, I think I've probably filmed enough for today. From here on, everything looks pretty much the same. That's not a Ukrainian flag. Those are the county colors of Tipperary. They just happen to be the same as the Ukrainian flag. All right, let's turn around and head back. See how that driver behaves? Almost came to a full stop. Thanks. This is the road my wife takes every day to and from work, by bike. But we don't have a second Velomobile yet, so she rides an electric bike, which is terribly inefficient. I've done some tests with it. I'll make a separate video about that because it's a really interesting topic. And the test results are pretty surprising. Turns out aerodynamics matter, even at low speeds. If we're talking about average speeds, then yes, aerodynamics really matter. I'll explain why in a dedicated video. For now, I'll just keep filming till we reach the end and return to the starting point, just to give you a sense of the scale of this whole landscape. All right, clear on the right, and looks clear on the left, too. Let's go. Let's go. Finally, a decent left turn. The motor can be turned off now. It's downhill.
Он хайвей, по которому ездят грузовики.
That's the highway over there, the one the trucks use. Let's park.
Паркуемся. Вот такой
So, this is the Pimavelobike, a great choice if you need
хорошее
everyday
решение, чтобы был
transportation.
транспорт на каждый день. И
A mix of a
веломобиль, и
velomobile, a hybrid, an
веломобиль,
e-bike,
недорого.
and a light EV.
Так что
And
я даже
it's
рекомендую
affordable.
тем,
So
кто
yeah, I'd even recommend it to
любит
people who aren't chasing
эффективность.
extreme
По
efficiency.
эффективности он
In
неплохой,
terms of
но по эффективности
efficiency,
в 3
it's
раза
not
выше, чем
bad.
обычный
It's
электровелик.
roughly on par with a
Средний
regular
вот
e-bike.
на
On real
реальных
roads,
дорогах
at the same
и
average
по
speed,
расходу энергии
the
в
energy
3 раза меньше
consumption is
скорости.
about the
В
same.
3
But
раза быстрее
here, you
шутка.
also get a cabin
Но
and
без
much more
мотора ехать не
stability.
может,
But it
несмотря
can't be
вот
used without the
но
motor.
его
Riding
использовать
without it
можно
just isn't an
каждый
option.
день.
With the motor, though, it's
И
totally
я
usable every day,
вполне
and
доволен.
I'm quite happy with
То
it.
есть некоторые
Yeah,
косяки
it's
есть,
got a few flaws. I'll
я
fix
их
those,
исправляю,
learn from
делаю
them,
выводы,
and use what
возможно,
I've learned to improve
улучшить
future
свои транспорты
designs.
в будущем. Спасибо всем за внимание.
Thanks for watching. I hope you found it
Было
interesting.
интересно.
Feel free to leave
Давайте
your
еще сделаем.
thoughts.